Isn't it great, the delay?
The delay. All right. So from here, here. Different types of foot sweeps?
Sure. Yeah.
Lean back for me. Is there more coffee?
Huh?
Is there more coffee?
No, but it doesn't take that long to make.
It takes forever to make.
It does.
It's a century.
Look at camera.
Thought you were gonna spit. It's been a while.
Yeah.
You know we're gonna fight later, right?
Yeah, I know. We're just warming up. Shit. Ow.
Shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, woo. All right. I'm awake now.
Me too. Taking your mouth guard out so you can talk.
Oh God. Oh shit. Yeah, that way.
Maybe, I don't know, fuck.
So,
What up, guys? Don't stare at your computer, stare
Yeah.
at the camera.
I'm trying to get.
Where are you? What?
I'm turning the fucking camera so it makes more sense. Just give it a second. All right, guys.
What up?
Now that we've got that sorted out, we were just playing around. As you saw, you'll see from the intro of the video, one of his specialties is foot sweeps.
Is it?
No.
I don't know anymore. Shit, I haven't hit
You're
one in
like,
a while.
I
The
don't
last
know, I
couple
don't know.
times
I don't know.
it's been on, what, a month? Really? No, I hit one at the open night I went to with you.
Yeah.
All right, so it kind of
Yeah.
works still. I mean,
Yeah.
60% of the time, it works all the
every
time. Sex Panther.
Nah.
Are we out of stuff to talk about?
No, we're not. We're not. We haven't been married for 20 years. What are you talking about?
It's pretty basic.
Yeah,
Like somebody was like, "What are you doing to like revolutionize like law enforcement, all that stuff?" I said, we show this really simple thing over and over and over and over again. It's gross motor skills. There's not a whole lot of variations. Like it's this, and if it fails, you just go to the old SAG hug. Like it's all pretty basic and boring.
That's
Like-
really, that really truly is it. Like, it is just kind of one of those things.
Somebody,
Here, let's hold it there.
some per usual. I don't know. Like I've always heard, or the first time I heard it was that Joe Rogan where he talks about like parallel thinking and all that stuff. But like,
Yeah, and, like,
somebody posted something
Yes.
on either Instagram or Facebook that I saw that basically is the same, similar thought process, like controlling the center line and like, I think we say going to the source, like attack the source of the problem.
That's something you kind
Don't
of
chase
like.
hands, right? Chase the source. Like so, instead of chasing a hand, you shave up to the shoulder and gain control of the shoulder. Stuff like that. Like
And we can even show that on the yoga balls. We don't need to fucking stand up. You can show that. So if I swing,
I don't want to be out here trying to like,
ninja
Steven
hand.
Seagal, right? It's never
Yeah.
gonna happen, right? When he
Yeah.
does it, I'm gonna come to the source, take a big bite, and even here's too low, right? This is anybody who grapples is gonna counter and then take me down, or worse, make me eat a knee. And like no one's selling you a secret thing. They're just trying to make you really when you're talking to somebody, it's do you vibe with that teacher, and do you vibe? Is their teaching simple and repeatable, right? And like,
That's super important.
One of the big things, the biggest lesson that I took from working with two of the best teachers ever, in Jason Apt, who said he would come on here with us, and Devin Kate, is that they have catchphrases.
Yeah.
And they're simple to remember, and I still find myself in the heat of battle, like whether it be competition, hard training, or our job, I hear Jason Apt being like, I don't know if he wants to say this. He cusses at me, and then he says, attack their base.
Okay.
Or the one that I stole from that I tell our guys is like, be athletic.
Yeah.
Like you're playing a sport, it's just a violent sport.
Yeah.
Like be athletic, make them unathletic. And that's always stuck with me. For whatever reason, it rung true. Which is, I guess I played a lot of sports, but I was never good at them. Like,
I was gonna say I didn't play a lot of sports, and it shows.
You're a
But
theater kid.
yeah, actually.
What a secret! Like, what a lovely trivia thing. Like musicals and.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I sang in choir.
I was a butler in a 1920s musical.
Nice.
It was pretty dope, man.
Yeah.
I had a shitty mustache like now, but I was like 14.
No, yeah, I was totally like a music, arts, theater kid, like.
And then a cyclist.
Yeah, and then a cyclist, but like, I'm not saying cycling isn't athletic, but it's the least athletic athleticism.
Do you? Well, I mean,
In the words
every
of-
cyclist that when I think of
Yeah.
cyclists, I think of like lean and everything. But you said you've
Yeah.
never been lean.
I mean, if you're talking being 6'1" and 170 pounds.
Oh, okay.
No,
I've never seen
yeah,
a picture
I was,
from you.
Oh yeah, there's
I
not
don't know
very
what you
many.
look like.
This was like when camera phones were like a new thing.
Gotcha.
And so the like pixelated shitty pictures of me that exist.
I was in freshman year.
Right. I was out of high school. No, it definitely like, in the words of Kenny Powers, I'm not trying to be the best at exercising, but that's what I was doing.
I've lost that
Yeah.
whole thing. Especially when it became a meme about CrossFit.
Yeah.
I lost a bunch of friends because I like shared it too much.
Look, there's nothing wrong with exercising. I was an endurance athlete. I still enjoy stuff like that, but it's just like jiu-jitsu. It's overplayed sometimes, and people talk about it too much, even though that's what we do. Really, honestly, ours is like about personal protection and self-defense, and jiu-jitsu is like the passion part of it.
I really think that ours is. I mean, I guess so. I gotta be real, man. Like, outside of the highlights of you and Miker's stuff, like I don't sit through your guys' stuff, which is, I mean, maybe I will when I return to work. Like, like especially at Metal Detector, like something to do. Like, but like it's just because like I bullshit with you guys. Like it's at the end of the day, like, and that's why I keep feeling like we've reached the end of this. Like we're just talking about the same shit over and over again. But
It's okay.
you know what? Nah,
Nope.
never mind.
Say it. It can always be cut out.
I don't know, man. Like the responses that I've gotten from that one about what if I lift and I'm really strong and I slam you, dude, that has bugged me, because like it's such a smorgasbord. Like there's some high level grapplers that have said something to me, and then there's some low level grapplers who have said something to me, and then there's people who don't train. Like baseball homeboy who wants to leave comments on the YouTube channel. Like
Yeah.
seriously, man, like there's no hate. Come through, and like, although man, your joke, Masvididdy, that's hilarious. Dude, I can't get over it. I've said it twice in conversation. Like I've used it. It's such a good one. But like I don't know, man, like you gotta understand, if you do know me, which is probably how you found this one, or you know Tim, so by extension, like you have to know me. I'm the first one to tell you, like my losses grossly overweigh my wins. But like, I mean, I like you said, it's a passion thing. Like, there's levels to it. I understand that I'm very much like locally good. Like in Columbus, I'm okay. Like, and then in sometimes I'm on rare form. I'll sneak a win in here and there. But like, I'm gonna do this forever, and luckily my best friend's my boss, and it's giving me opportunity to do stuff for realsies, which honestly, like, that's been the greatest boon. Training jiu-jitsu and doing MMA helped with my job, but like, I don't know if you guys know this, like, for the most part, cops don't really do anything. They're like a walking insurance policy, right? Speaking as one, like, we don't, like, you'll get some hot nights, but like, it's like sitting around and waiting, or you're never there. You're never in the right place at the right time, right? At the hospital, we're always on top of it. Like, you're in it, and like, that hands-on experience has taken my grappling skill infinitely more. Like, black belts that used to give me problems.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you're not trying to bite my ear off. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's really not.
It kind of like put me in a different mindset of applying it to grappling.
When I think that's one of the misunderstood things about the hospital security role. I've known people that have come into it with no experience, and then they go out and become police officers. And then I've met police officers who are police officers like you for a long time, and they're like, what is this about? And I'm like, no. If like you like to put your hands on people, like, and be like helpful and not just like fuck people up, like, that truly is a arena where you can test that metal, gain further insight into what's happening. Truly, like, one of our days can be like an episode of Cops, and I'm not overselling it.
No,
like,
not at all.
Yeah, like, what I mean by that is, if you don't understand how the show Cops worked,
there's a lot of just following them around hoping for something.
Yeah, for sometimes weeks.
And
like weeks or months, and then they
together.
cut it down into this, what is it, like a 30-minute or hour-long show? And they may show like 3 or 4 calls, because the difference with policing and our calls is they follow calls a lot longer than we would.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of process there, because you're talking about, like, they're like truly in the wilderness. Like,
something interesting about that one is, like, you could find the cops who are out there like getting after it, because if you saw a repeat cop, like, clearly, like, he was in the thick of it, like, and he cared about his community.
That's very true. And sometimes they would pick people that they knew that were like quote unquote go-getters.
Well, and then you kind of saw it in the first 48.
Yeah.
Like, one, you figured out where they're, like, I'm from Kansas City.
Yeah.
Dude, Kansas City is always on that show. Like, holy hell, like, we are not a good town. Dallas was always on there. Houston was always on there. Kansas City.
Some of the
Cincinnati. Cincinnati was always
is a banging city. Not in like a. I mean, it's a nice city, but
the only thing I think
it's a rough
when I
city.
think of Cincinnati is that active shooter they had, and the patrolman running up, and as soon as he pulls his AR up to shoot, he drops the magazine.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Oh, it's like, it's horrific. Like, but I mean, and that's no shame. Like, that's a high intensity situation. And for the most part, you get trained on how a rifle works one time, and then you qualify like once a year.
It is beholden on you to go train it more.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that we're slinging here. Go train something. Anymore, like, I have lowered my expectations to, like, join a beer league sport.
I know. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, athletic. Yeah.
Like, I think the most competitive soccer I ever played was Rec Beer League, the A squad, where, like, if you made it to the championships, you got to play on the crew's, like, training ground. And, like, I was in more fist fights in that shit than I was in any other, like, and it was like weekend warriors. Like, the cops were called multiple times to soccer first. Like,
it sounds like soccer last, fights first.
No, dude, nobody said anything. Even because it's co-ed, even the chicks were fighting. Dude, I remember there's this one girl, Jody. She sold BMWs. I remember her and her sister. Woo, I'll never forget. Her sister got in a fight. She had one chick in a headlock and was punching another dude. And I was just like,
what?
because I had just come from MMA training, like MMA sparring.
Yeah. And you were like, huh.
I was like, all
remember
right,
that,
is that a bulldog choke?
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, like, it's, I don't know. When you watch these things, like, understand, one, you always say 2 shaved apes. It's 2 assholes, like, trying to get information out there, and hopefully, like, look at this. Look at this dude on this yoga ball. Like, look at this melted ice cream. You can't tell in this frumpy hoodie and these super tight pajama pants. Like, we're nothing. Like, we just like to fight. Like, in fact, the way that you got me to the hospital was like I was teaching grappling at this god awful, like it was Taekwondo school, and he was paying me well, but like I hated it. I really did. Outside of a few of the kids that I really invested in, like I really disliked that job and realized like, oh man, like I'm not a teacher. Not really. Like
You have your moments.
yeah, like I'm not. I mean,
He's not going to run a school.
I won't ever.
That's what he
have a
means.
school.
He'll
Like,
drop into places. He'll teach once a week.
Yeah, I'll do like pop-up
Seminars,
especially
stuff
on,
like that. Yeah.
Foot sweep, like something.
Yeah.
something
Or
like,
stuff that we do.
Yeah, maybe.
He will.
But I had come to training at Mike Cheney's, and you and I had rolled like once or twice. Like we knew of each other.
Yeah,
and you heard me complaining, and you were like, "You want a job?" And I said, "What will we be doing?" And you said, "I promise you, we'll fight all the time. Let's meet for coffee." I met you for coffee, snapped my foot that weekend at a competition, taped that bitch up, hobbled to the hospital, walked like a pro in there, nailed the interview, and then you think you had to carry me, or like I had to put my arm around you in my business suit to get to my
You were like, "Can I just hang on you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine."
And then I got the job, and best job I ever had. Like I enjoy my job intensely, and it's I enjoy it because like it is the truest application of what I like doing, right? And if you need to be training jiu-jitsu, like it is, especially at this point with the UFC, like being what it is, like, I mean, people, it was kind of like when my dad, again, got me into martial arts, like he was like, when Walker Texas Ranger came out, like everybody was throwing head kicks, or Roadhouse. When Roadhouse was out, everybody's like, ka-cha, ka-cha, like it looked like Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec, describing it, like ripping the throat out and like all that stuff. And then for me, it was like Power Rangers and stuff like that. Like whatever show was on, like that's what kind of took over. And now there's UFC. Like most World Star stuff is either like swinging for the fences or it's closing the distance and violently slamming somebody.
Yeah.
And if you think, like, I don't care how big you are, if you think that you can't get picked up and slammed, you are mistaken. Or really, the injuries that come from being the person doing the slamming and not understanding how that mechanic works. Like, pulling somebody on top of you is a big one. Especially in our profession, I see more officers pull bad guys on top of themselves.
Well, and that's something you and I have talked about. I don't know if we've talked about it on here, but sacrifice throws in particular, like your opinion of them has changed significantly, like since we started doing what we do, and seeing like that end result of it being not a great option.
They were already on the fringe, again from the self-defense program that like Jason and Devin and I ran, like where like our students, like we were playing bad guys and they would do these, and we were like the grapplers, so we would step over and be like, man, and we kind of huddle up at dinner afterwards and be like, I don't think we should show that anymore. And then we would kind of talk through it, and then we would run it back like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and you just do what you would naturally do. And we were ending up in these horrific positions, and that's really like, again, like it's one of the things like
I think one of the things about like diverging into like kind of like a finer point of all the things we're talking about, like when you understand like where that can land you, like a sacrifice through is like,
so I'm gonna be the officer, you be the bad guy. And like a very typical one.
Hold on, I'm gonna back the camera.
Okay. Like it's just basic like understanding, especially if you're somebody who wears gear, right? Like, so you gotta think I'm held down by like, I wanna say, let's say like 10 to maybe 20 something pounds of gear, depending on how, like if you're double cuffing it and you have a taser and a gun and a baton and a flashlight, magazines, you carry an AR magazine as well, like you're starting to add a bunch of weight here, which is what makes me dynamic, right? And then on top of it, like it's on a stiff belt that doesn't give, so my hips don't have the mobility they do. And what a lot of the we have, I see a lot of cops like they do great, like they'll get inside line and they'll get here, but then there's this moment where their head and their shoulders get in front, and this person will simply turn towards the camera, and then they step in, and now from here, just from basically watching UFC, I can't get to a single thing on my belt, and now my hips, which were already underneath. Restriction from the belt because like, it's so stiff, is now digging into the mud or it's catching on the concrete. If this person like has a good base or is mildly athletic, like even without anything, it would be hard to get this person off. And now like you either have this, which is just they gather like you're just gonna hook and then I can't block myself, or you have like a lot of shirt pulling and just like this, like I'm trying not to mess with you, right? Like see all this give? Like my hands aren't doing anything.
And not only that, he's not affecting my posture in any way.
Right, like so like I need to be like, again, and you're boom, 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 like your boss rooting me, right? Like, so like what I want to do is I want to make sure that I get to a source and I start to like at least take some of the sting off, right? And just kind of monitor the situation. And then I get my feet as close as I can and I'm going to buck you forward to hide. Right? And I'm still going to get hit. I accept it, right? There's nothing I can do. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he starts to squeeze my head because now he's taken a table post away. All I need to do is make sure that this hand can't come out. I can bump and roll. And now I'm going to stay close. I'm in no rush now, right? I just need to make sure he doesn't dive into his waistband or pocket and grab a weapon, right? From here, I'm going to likely radio. Even if he grabs mine, hopefully you guys have a high level holster, but like I'm just gonna come in and keep it pinched low, right? And then from here I can start to work because what's gonna happen is I'm controlling distance, but I'm gonna let him think that he is. He's gonna start to push my head because he wants, right? So from here, I'm gonna make sure that I'm controlling, right? So now he might think that he can swing, but like I can hold him down and keep his posture because I'm 2-on-1ing this wrist into his hips. I've killed his mobility. Turn this way for me. Ooh, that patella tip.
Sorry.
It's fine. But see, I'm keeping this. So what I'm going to do is instead of like overcommitting here, I'm going to start to get control of myself, right? And so every time I feel him swing, I'm going to pop. Now, as he feels this, like he's going to think, open my legs, I'm going to kick him, right? I can either escape, which is what I would hope that you guys would do, right? If you don't train, I don't even know that I would stay here depending on how hurt or how tired I am. But like, being trained, I know that as this comes forward, there's a window to turn it. And now I'm here, right? And I got to be honest, with the return from the staph infection and how damaged my tendon is, I don't know that I would do this. I would probably flee and get more athletic here and then come out knowing he's going to try to stand up. And that's when I re-engage, when he's completely out of battery. Like, he's trained. This is more dangerous. But, like, go back down for me. And I want you to think of, like, the crab get up. Like, where they come, like, I'm going to be, nope. And now I'm going to engage. Where my tendon, the one that's hurt, isn't in any danger. And if you notice, I'm not doing anything other than driving, expecting him to maybe roll or turn. And if he rolls over, I'm just going to chase the back, drag, gift wrap. And realistically, like, I can follow here. Like, this is what I'm looking for in terms of job work. In terms of self-defense, with how hurt I am, he's probably getting soccer kicked in the face or kneed in the face as he goes to get up. Because I'm not sure how long this can handle a prolonged engagement on the concrete without a referee, right? I don't know that I would go in. Once I'm 100%, doctor says 8 weeks, like, I will re-engage and try to keep better control. But knowing how wonky my leg is, I can't risk something happening. But like, this is the end goal in our job, right? Gift wrap, monitoring, Y grip. Like,
yeah, and we're not talking about this strictly. We're not talking about a self-defense for somebody not in a uniform. This is for any uniform. Not in a uniform can be addressed differently, like you said. This is just somebody in a uniform getting this level of control.
Right, and the reason that we like this control is my knee on hip, not belly, is controlling his legs. I'm here monitoring, and I can 360 scan and make sure your buddy doesn't come and kick me.
Yep.
And if somebody does come too close, I can keep controlling you and start to build an athletic base to dip to a weapon. right? Like if I need to, right? But we can go back to yoga balls if you want.
No, I think we should just leave it.
Okay.
Talk.
Well, I'm not going to stand and talk. That seems pretentious. Do this, right? But the yeah. So like on the flip side of that, like I brought up my
sacrifice
complaint.
those.
Yeah, sacrifice those. Like you don't ever want to willingly go to the ground, even if you're an expert on the ground, unless it's a competition, right?
Well, and you want to be able to make that decision.
I want to be in control of it.
Yeah.
And like that's the hard one. It's what I yell at. It's what it's kind of like what I make the joke almost every school that I go to. Like, oh man, like you guys are a bunch of good ground fighters, but you can't get it to the ground. I mean, I've spent a couple rounds where like it's either us circling because like they're just so defensively minded. Mm-hmm. And I have to be defensively minded because, like, as we've talked about, within a few seconds of touch them, they're like, "Oh, you're wild! Like, I can't let you go for like one of these big." So, like, I'll stall out until you pull.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm trying to make a point, like, you have to pull guard, right?
Yeah.
Or
you
like,
essentially have to sacrifice your position.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, every grappling class should be encompassing, right? Like, so you should be training takedowns. Mm-hmm. You should be training.
It doesn't have to be some epic hour-long takedown session. We're talking like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That's honestly like one of my favorite classes, or one of my favorite black belts at Ronin. Joe Pulver. Yeah. His warm-up is takedown to the finish.
Yeah.
Because he
takedown to pinning, you mean?
No, he wants you to take down, pin, work a submission, then it's your turn. And like there's almost zero resistance, and he's trying to build. I understand what he's doing. He's trying to build sequences, and it's such a good. And then like just the act of being taken down and then standing back up is such a good warm up. Like it beats running. Like don't get me wrong. Like shrimping, running,
those fundamental traditional like warm ups.
There's you should do those, I guess, but like. I can't figure out if like shrimping's more important or like repping a takedown is more important. There should be some combination of both, right? And then Joe will teach some like wild ass like berimbolo to weaving X guard, but like we did takedowns. Like we did takedowns. Yeah. We did a fundamental thing, and now we're doing cool jiu-jitsu shit.
So that's like he does that. Brett Boggs always opens every class with hand fighting and takedowns.
Oh yeah.
And then Cheney does takedowns, 5 minutes of compliant takedowns as a warm up.
Yeah.
It's truly one of the best warm-ups because you have to stand up and get down, and you have to do break falls. So you're learning in a true takedown situation that's compliant,
I guess
a good break fall.
I guess if the few times I've run class, like we do 5 to maybe 8 minutes of takedowns, but you change partners every minute. So you get a different body type. Yeah. And you get a different like you're like. Because the one thing you don't want is like, and I get it. Like you find that one partner that you vibe with, and you guys like competitors stick with competitors. But like I also get it from like my professor Vitor. Like he wants higher belts to take people under their wing, right? Yeah. Like so you're transferring knowledge down, right? So like foot's like something that like nobody really. If you are taller than another person, foot sweeps don't really work because their hip hinges sooner.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like how Uchimata doesn't work if you're shorter than your opponent's taller. Yeah. Uchimata doesn't work because the mechanics aren't there.
Yeah, your hip's not under.
Now, my sensei, Etienne, who is a master of Uchimata, if you rep a technique, like I've swept short people.
Yeah.
Like, I've foot swept.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Etienne has Uchimata tall people. Like, once you find a technique that fits with your body style, like, there's an exception to every rule. But, like, how would a white belt ever learn that if like you don't ever transfer it to them, right? And like, again, grappling is such a complete art. I sent you that really shitty clip, or I guess it's a shitty movie, but it's a cool clip that has the Boondock Saints brother Sean Patrick Flannery, who's a real jiu-jitsu black belt. Like he's legit, and I love his takes on stuff. But like I don't know the context of it, but it seems like he's fighting a striker. Yeah. And he explains what he's gonna do, and he does it to him, and that's kind of how it goes. Like you can almost like once you train enough, you can tell somebody how it's gonna go. Like outside of something wild, like a Russian backflip hatchet throw, like something weird, right? Like,
Spetsnaz.
yeah. But like, I don't know, like train. That came from like, what? How did we get on it? Oh, I was talking about
Sacrifice those.
yeah,
Shitty-
but I was talking
shitty-
about people who like had something to say about that clip.
Yeah,
like,
what if I slam you?
what if I slam you? What if I do this? What if I do this? Like at some point, like you just get a ton of like assholes, like in like the what ifs, like what if I do this and what if I do this? Like again, like there's this operating procedure of like how familiar are you with violence? How comfortable are you with violence? I know some amazing black belts who I can't get to strike. Like if you punch me and I'm in, like you're in my guard and you punch me, I promise you I'm gonna punch you back.
Yeah.
Like from the ground.
I know.
From my back.
I've been there.
And then
It
we're
sucks.
still gonna be rolling. Like
Yeah.
but like it's
The jiu-jitsu hasn't stopped.
the
Strikes,
jiu-jitsu has to stop. We're
strikes
just
have just entered the chat.
sprinkled in
Yeah.
some strikes. Like so like I again like there's I always find it funny like well like that'll like what you know I'll just dip for my gun. Well what happens when I gift wrap you and I take your gun? Which I will absolutely do.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to, while keeping control of you, drop the mag, eject the thing, and then disassemble your gun in front of you. Like, bloop, like,
Yeah.
I mean, or, no,
I know,
that's
just
too much.
made-
that's
funny, though.
that's a lot of bullets.
Things to slide and trip on. It's like marbles.
You just like increasing the danger of the area.
Yeah. Just making it more interesting.
Painting,
Yeah.
painting with
Yeah.
a whiteboard.
Right. Yeah.
Or like, you know, I've seen a couple in training, like in like some jiu-jitsu guys who like were trying to prove a point. Like, I've seen them wrestle cops in their gear and open their cuffs, and the cops get put in their own cuffs. Like,
Yeah. That's one of like
what a demoralizing thing.
one of our bosses who is a giant human and was in law enforcement for many years, is retired now, but still works with us. He did both.
Man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. In his academy, he got ripped down by somebody your size and put in his own cuffs. He got ripped down by his mullet, if that tells you how long ago it was.
I would absolutely
yeah.
grab that party.
Yeah, he got ripped down by the party in the back, and put in his own cuffs. And ever since then, he's never had that haircut like ever again.
I don't know. I like my hair. I will keep my hair.
No, I don't. Yeah,
Because it's a
if
when you train it, it's a weapon
Yeah.
for me. Like you're
Yeah.
taking away one of your grips and giving me a reason to put my helmet on. Like,
Yeah,
but like I get it. Like in terms of like the comments and stuff like that. One, keep them coming because it causes one something for us to talk about. Two, something for us to train over. But the other part of it is I can't stress enough, like, come train. Like, seriously, like, if you think that something is going to work and you want to see it, either take the time to write it out and, like, show it to us, or just show up.
or you can even remix what we put up. We allow that on our channel. I don't care if you remix it and ask a question, shoot it back to us. That's
Or if you're running into an issue,
Absolutely
or
fine
if
with
you
me.
just think that it's bullshit and it won't work.
Yeah.
I mean, please, like, you're not gonna offend me. I wanna see the answers in training, or
Yeah.
like again, stimulate. Like, we don't pretend like we have the answers. We don't. But like, you might think of it in a roundabout, outside the box way that I don't. That somebody on reality 976 who thinks that we're all demons here to rape their soul. Like,
they may see it that way.
and they might do something wild. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you got to that line of thinking, but by all means, let us know about it here. I don't know, man. Like, sacrifice takedowns, stay away from them. Be mindful. Again, when to break it down, because like I'm an idiot, and like I think that's why like Jason's style of teaching works so well. Like he plays like you're the lowest common denominator. So like it's like talking to a toddler.
Yeah.
So like when
He meets you where you're at.
Yeah, so he explained like what being athletic is, right? Like just like I showed in when we stood up, like the moment that I feel my shoulders go in front of my hips, I understand that I can be toppled, especially if I'm wearing gear, right? So like when we say remain athletic, like I want like you're dropping into an athletic stance, like everything's shoulders, knees, and toes like are all in line with each other, so that I can pivot, move, accept weight, give weight, react. And the biggest thing that I see from the years of training is an overcommittal, right? Like you either like in jiu-jitsu, like when you don't want to be taken down, what do people do? Grab the collars, stiff arm, butt back, right? And then you see them, they're kind of like, it's kind of like this real jarring thing where really all you have to do is suddenly drop your weight, and the person tends to throw themselves. Wrestling, two bulls locking up, but they're teepee, right? You have like their shoulders and heads are way over each other, and they're looking for that slight tilt to turn a corner and explode.
Yeah.
Judo guys, like you'll see judo guys, they're almost loose, but their hands are iron. Like once their grip closes, that's their grip for almost the whole match. And you see it's almost like somebody working bands, and then they explode, right? You got to have like that feel, and you can't get it from 1 hour once every quarter, right?
if you're lucky. And we're talking back. We're not talking civilians. We're talking back to someone in uniform.
Yeah, a uniform.
Yeah.
Like, what's your training really like? And if it's not,
Yeah.
if you're not getting, like, and I get it. Like, I understand. We've talked at length about like the logistics, the pay, the risk of injury, like all that stuff. If you're tasked with the safety of the public, and you're not realizing the rapid growth. Like there are people who still don't train, who understand and know who Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan are, and they call them by their nicknames. They can tell you like, oh, like Craig Jones
King
was talking
Gordon
about
Ryan,
this buggy choke and like this, and I'm just like, why are you like, you lift weights? How do you know this and you don't train?
Yep.
Oh, like it just like they don't have a class on my time, or I'm working out here instead of this. Like, man, like we work together.
Like grappling has entered the zeitgeist of like bro dude culture is like a warning sign to people that don't train.
Well, and the thing that's always wild is like, or the thing that's starting to filter out is like almost every frat party I see, there's dudes in the background grappling.
Yeah.
The few parties that I've been to in the past few years, like at some point grappling happened at the party.
Yeah.
And it always starts out like, it's hilarious. It's exactly like all the memes and stuff. Like some blue belt is like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. And like, I just remember like sipping a drink and just being like, I'm not going to say anything.
You're like,
somebody else was like, I'll grapple you. This person that from the back is a high level purple belt, but didn't tell the blue belt. And now you get egos involved. Like, things start to build, like, and
you're like,
and I'm just like,
into the
guess
bushes,
I'm refereeing, like,
get into the bushes,
right? Like, it's something that like you need to be aware of, and if you need more, like, look at the John Wick films.
Yeah.
They have the ballerina one coming out. Then you have like true like I said it earlier, but like fight choreography dictates what people think they can do. I remember coming up, pro wrestling was much bigger than it is now. Maybe it still is. I just don't follow it anymore. But like I remember that kid killed his uncle. He did a sleeper hold, and he had no idea. And the thing is, understanding, I would really like. I think I'm going to research that case a little bit more, because to kill somebody with a true strangle, you have to hold on for like 2 or more minutes. So either that uncle went to sleep and the kid thought he was faking and kept squeezing.
Yeah.
Or in the rigmarole, the kid fell and crushed the windpipe. And like I would love to see the autopsy report or like research it a little bit more. But like kids, like my youngest has done jiu-jitsu her whole life, but then like she did a year of wrestling, and I remember like she was in wrestling and this boy started tapping, or didn't know how to tap, but I could see like he was turning red, and I said, I like stepped down on the mats and like stopped it, and she's like, he didn't tap, and I'm like, babe girl, like
there's no tapping in wrestling.
She calls chokes squeeze hugs. She was like, I was giving him a squeeze hug, I didn't know, like I wasn't trying to hurt him, and I said, baby, like I understand, but like this is grappling, but it's not like jiu-jitsu. Like wrestling and jiu-jitsu, there's 2 separate goals. And like she's like, so from there it started a really like interesting conversation. She's like, so like how many taps before I have to let go? And I'm like, hey, little psycho, like when you're like, they might be tapping, let go and check on them. Like, and in terms of like self-defense, like I've bitten into a choke and they've tapped because they watched UFC, and I released the pressure, but I didn't let go, right? Because I don't want to give up control of something, because they might be faking it. It might be a Brazilian tap, where like, if you don't know Brazilian tap, like they tap to get you to let go and then they explode, right? Like I keep control, I just let go of the bite to see what's gonna happen, right? So, you know, and you only get that feel from training. You know, like most departments won't allow you to apply a strangle or a hold to somebody because it's too dangerous, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, the people who have decided that don't train and they don't understand it, right? One of the safest things you can do is choke somebody unconscious and then give them care and let them wake up in cuffs. Like, right? Like, you put them to sleep, however, guillotine, whatever it is, right? You put them in the modified recovery position. As they begin to wake up, you put them in cuffs. Modified recovery position on their side, same thing, that like, but in some kind of control, right? And people will generally kind of wake up.
Yeah. They may not remember where they're at because it's like a hard reset.
I will say, having been, let's just say, I think it was my birthday, $50 to $80 drunk, went to an open mat, got choked unconscious, woke up completely sober. I was completely sober. I've never been so mad in my life. What a waste. I'm so glad I don't drink anymore. But like,
maybe you'll reach another level of consciousness the next time you get choked out. You'll wake up and be like, woo, this CTE's gone.
Maybe it'll fix me, right? And don't get me wrong, like, there's things to worry about. Like I said, the crushing of the windpipe, like, but all that stuff comes from like a lack of training, right? Like, if you properly apply a strangle, which is what we should call chokes where in the front of it, right? It's more pain compliance where you're crushing the windpipe. A strangle, right? If we're going to be technical, is where you're cutting off both blood to the brain.
Or my favorite legalese term is a neck restraint.
Vascular neck restraint.
No, well, vascular is patented. So.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
vascular.
You can't say that because of LVNR.
Gotcha.
So you say neck restraint. You drop the.
I would say more like neck restriction.
Or you can even say the Carotid Institute is much more forgiving as far as that. They're the ones who counter LVNR.
Oh, okay.
Carotid gives. You're using a carotid restraint.
Yeah, restriction. Like restraint, yes, but like I would say like you or what is it? You're turning off a valve. Like you have control.
It's a pressurized valve in your neck that you're collapsing by using these angles in your arm with a backstop, usually your head.
And like the thing that's always really interesting that I enjoy talking about with like truly high level, like people who've done it for a while, like you can feel it. Like I can feel your pulse here and here. Or if I have some kind of strangle, even with the gi, if you're tuned in enough, like you feel a little daredevil-y, but like you can feel the pulse and you're like, oh, like you good? Like and they're either like looking up at you with
like,
true rage in their eyes, or they're drifting off, like, and so you can kind of modify
their
it.
Head looks like a grape.
It's again, it feels like we just kind of rehash the same stuff, but like grappling is the greatest because it is a sliding scale of escalation, right? Which is what every use of force continuum hopes that it is. And striking being and I love striking. I dedicate hours upon hours to different striking arts in my week, but like every striking class, the familiars that I like, my teammates that train with me a lot know, like, if you wallop me good, I'm gonna grab you and kind of change the game. And just, I don't know if I think it's more because of my concussions. I grab them to stop that momentum, and then reset to neutral. But I've also noticed, like, the true strikers, it makes them realize that, there's a whole aspect that we're ignoring here, right? Like, we're doing a gentleman's agreement of, like, we're going to play by these rules and restrictions, right?
See?
Yeah, we're going to stay at arm's distance and just wallop each other until one of us falls, like the old rock'em sock'ems. Well, okay, that was you tagged me really good, and I'm hearing ringing in my ears. We're going to slow this down, and I'm going to give a little squeeze hug, and the real ones, like, I'm like trying to suck their wind. Like, I'm giving them like a reverse Heimlich, like trying to attack their diaphragm so I can take some of the sting out of their punches, slow them down. Especially now that I've lost a step with this and just being old as dirt. Like, the young bucks move.
The dogs need to go out.
Yeah, I heard them.
Okay. So that's, to wrap it up,
What is this one
Sac-
called? What are we talking about this? This
I'm
is
going
sacrifice.
to call it sacrificed rambling.
Sacrifice
Rambling, yes.
Ah, to the
You heard it
rambling
here.
nuts.
But I do have another topic for us to talk about after we cut this one and I let the dogs out.
Okay, cool.
So, don't do sacrifice throws.
Don't
Train.
do that. Train when you can.
Remember, learn how to be taken down, but also learn how to stop takedowns. Do takedowns.
Hey, if you want us to come through and teach you,
Yeah.
talk to somebody. Reach out to us. We'll
Yeah.
come. We'll come. I'm
Hit us in
down
the
for a road
comments.
trip.
Yeah.
Steak knife.
Yeah.